In 75 BC, a slender young Roman nobleman found himself seized by Cilician pirates. They set his ransom at a modest 20 talents of silver. Unperturbed, he laughed derisively at them, chastised them for their underestimation, and instructed them to demand a higher price of 50. As his attendants gathered the release fee, he dwelled among the pirates with the air of a restless monarch, silencing their noise for his rest, commanding their attention for his performances, and solemnly pledging that upon his release, he would hunt them down and see them all crucified. To the pirates, his threats were no more than amusing antics from an audacious captive. Yet no sooner had the ransom arrived and he secured his release, than he marshaled a modest fleet, captured his previous captors, and fulfilled his vow, executing them all. This young captive was none other than Julius Caesar, long before ambition or lineage warranted such confidence. By behaving as though he was already Rome's preeminent, he reshaped reality to fit his bold portrayal. Nietzsche would later distill such behavior through his doctrine, the will to power, proclaim dominance. First, let evidence follow later. What ensues are 7 unsparing steps to harness this doctrine for yourself. Consider this. Do the fiercest lions stop to seek the savannah's blessing before unleashing a roar? Nietzsche dedicated his life to unraveling that truth, the raw reality that the world bends not to intellect, but to unyielding certainty. He named it will to power, the inner proclamation that you are the pivotal force around which all else orbits. And here lies his most relentless revelation. Crowns are claimed before they are merited. The world does not scrutinize your credentials. It reads the confidence in your stature. It does not account your virtues, but the authority in your aura. Drag a mirror to your mind's core and confront the fallacy you've been perpetuating. You linger until you're prepared, until you've demonstrated sufficiency, until an apprehensive panel grants you greatness. Meanwhile, a louder, less refined pretender has already stepped onto the stage, anointed himself ruler, and garnered applause, because people crave certainty, not qualifications. Today, we burn that hesitation to ashes. Today, you will learn Nietzsche's relentless psychology, behave as though you are superior, and the world will hasten to present evidence to support your claim. Speak as though your declarations are judicial. Move as though the laws of nature were crafted for your gait. Assume dominance, not to diminish others, but to unseal the vault where your latent potential has been suffocated. In this realm governed by perception, power is not conferred, it is proclaimed, and the faintest voice never turns authoritative. Are you prepared to inscribe your saga into every space you occupy? Then refine your conviction and advance. The game proceeds without you, but history remembers only those bold enough to scribe its narrative. Most individuals trail their potential as if shackled, anticipating an illusory signal of approval. Grades, designations, parental accolades, social validation. Nietzsche would deride this as the will to permission, the timid inclination to allow external verdicts to shape your worth. Its followers are easily identified. They preface every idea with, "I'm not sure, but..." They apologize when doors merely graze them. They occupy spaces transiently, as if anticipating eviction. Their lives revolve around others' judgments, and the verdict repeatedly chants, "not yet." Contrasting this weakness is the will to power, a volcanic presumption that your existence is innately justified. Nietzsche's envisioned Übermensch doesn't request a role, he asserts one, and acts so resolutely that the world rearranges to suit his claim. He enters a sphere like a lighthouse in a tempest, anchored, composed, undeterred. His confidence does not rely on evidence, it generates evidence. Because by projecting absolute assurance, you commandeer the primitive instincts of those observing. Humans, as tribal beings, perpetually scan for the signals of the alpha. Provide those cues, steady gaze, measured speech, an imposing presence, and their instincts will label you leader before logic enters the fray. Recognize the mechanism's inherent cruelty, superiority can be feigned. The individual exuding dominance might hold no deeper wealth of talent than one who shrinks beside, yet distinction adheres to facade, not essence. That's why Nietzsche scoffed at moralists who peddled humble sincerity. History isn't penned by the humble, but by those audacious enough to etch their names into epochs, daring the timid to object. Absorb this shift, authority is seized, not bestowed. When you stand to speak, do not doubt if the assembly will heed your insight. You presume they will, and this presumption transforms your rhythm, your breathing, the the gravitational field around you. Conversely, doubt permeates micro-expressions, fractures vocal tones, invites predation. Wolves detect faltering gazelles, crowds sense faltering resolve. Henceforth, every setting challenges allegiance. Will you cater to the will to permission, timid, compliant, quietly resentful, or the will to power? Daring, self-designated, magnetic uncertainty. Decide swiftly, for indecision is a scented trail for predators. In Nietzsche's domain, the world divides between those who crown themselves and those who polish others' crowns. Determine which neck your crown was intended to adorn. Julius Caesar didn't simply stride into Rome as an obscure general, then nurture a legend. In his youth, he crafted narratives of his battlefield triumphs in third-person accounts, sending them to the Senate as serialized epics. By the time he set foot into the Forum, the legend preceded him. Senators murmured Caesar the Unconquered long before verifying a single scar. Napoleon mirrored this methodology. Precise portraits, orchestrated dispatches, even battlefield artists hauling easels through smoke so France could witness its little corporal towering over Europe. The pattern is stark yet simple. Reputation is minted in narrative long before it is authenticated in fact. Why does it succeed? Because the human psyche is pliable like fresh clay. It molds itself around the first compelling narrative it encounters. Offer the world a vivid storyline. I am inevitable, indomitable, the architect of outcomes, and they will warp every future observation to affirm it. Errors fade as footnotes, minor victories inflate into prophecies achieved. Nietzsche discerned this cognitive quirk and weaponized it. All great men, he declared, are exaggerators. Such exaggeration isn't mere vanity, it becomes the scaffolding through which reality climbs into the framework you proclaimed. Your contemporary arena may be smaller but no less adaptable. Colleagues browse LinkedIn summaries. Acquaintances skim captions. Strangers glimpse fleetingly across lobbies. In these fragments of perception, your legend must already stand, robust, cohesive, inescapable. This necessitates crafting all visible variables, a distinctive rhythm, a pithy bio akin to a campaign mantra, a sartorial signature that imprints memory, the individual with obsidian cufflinks, the figure with glacier-steady gaze. These symbols are repeated until they solidify into expectation, and expectation does the lifting. Eventually, you'll discern a shift. Conversations commence at your tempo, dissent softens before reaching you, adversaries refer to you with reluctant respect, evidence swiftly fitting the prophecy you cast while technically still unverified. The timid denounce this as deceit. Nietzsche calls it world-making. You aren't forging false credentials, you are asserting control of the narrative before lesser storytellers can deface it. Leave the canvas empty and mediocrity will graffiti you in monotony. Paint first, with vigor, exaggeration, relentlessness, and observe as even skeptics color within the lines you've drawn. That's the art of mythcraft, crafting external confidence early, broadcasting it loudly, and wearing it until the metal of perception heats enough to mold reality to conform. Ideas in isolation hold no dominion, the form must preach what the voice proclaims. Nietzsche surmised that every philosophy is the confession of its author's muscles. Your carriage betrays your creed before words leave your lips. If you simmer with subdued grandeur, your shoulders remember their stature. If riddled with self-doubt, your spine telegraphs the quake. Invisible yet forgeable. Posture. Stand as if gravity itself owes you tribute. Feet anchored shoulder-width apart, chest expanded, chin parallel to the horizon. Visualize a steel rod coursing from crown to heel, unyielding, silent. This outward presentation does more than appeal to the eye. It liberates breath, amplifies voice, stimulates neurochemicals that trick the mind into inhabiting the confidence the pose portrays. Biologists term it power posing. Nietzsche would deem it transcendence through anatomy, gaze. Most scan spaces like thieves seeking exits. The Übermensch evaluates like a surveyor, deliberate, meticulous, affirming who and what merits attention. Hold eye contact a beat longer than courtesy dictates, then relinquish without apology. Never flit, never beseech recognition. You aren't requesting, you're assessing. Predators interpret that steadiness and adjust. Prey feel its weight and retreat. Tempo. The unsure spill words, racing to validate their existence. Abandon haste. Words should descend like boulders into tranquil waters, sparse, weighted, reverberating long after silence returns. When interrupted, pause until noise subsides. Resume at the precise word where intrusion occurred. This trains listeners to accommodate your tempo, recognizing any attempt to alter it as juvenile. Adopt these rituals and a curious inversion ensues. Individuals begin aligning their volume, stance, and tempo with your own, an involuntary yield known as social mimicry. In this dance, choreographed by certainty, leadership is reflected in presence, not decree. A peculiar reversal unfolds. Individuals begin to imitate your volume, stance, and rhythm, unconsciously yielding in a process termed social entrainment. You remain calm, yet the dynamic shifts. Without bestowing titles, followers emerge of their own accord. Embodied certainty, this unspoken declaration at the surface of your being, signals mastery over oneself and suggests an ability to govern others. Certainty intoxicates both the giver and the receiver. Nietzsche observed this phenomenon in salons and parliaments alike. A solitary figure proclaims their assured destiny with conviction, transforming collective anxiety into belief. Why does this occur? The human mind despises unresolved matters. Amid a chaotic, ever-changing world, definitive declarations are perceived as secured closures, finally providing something tangible to rely on. Present this stability and reason grows lethargic. Inquiry is exchanged for solace as people cling to the figure providing this certainty. The process is astonishingly straightforward. First, projection occurs. Observers imbue their personal aspirations onto your confident silhouette. Surely there must be a hidden pathway or unseen proof. The second phase is investment. They publicly align themselves with your perceived strength, nodding in meetings, echoing your words, defending you over dinner conversations. Acknowledging your potential error would now mean social collateral loss, prompting them to reinforce their stance. Cognitive dissonance metamorphoses into fervent advocacy. Your fabricated myth gains momentum independently. History's most enthralling deceivers grasp this concept far better than understated sages. A self-declared prophet anticipates rain on mere conjecture. When it arrives, acolytes proclaim it a miracle, while future misses are recast as faith trials. The prophet's original confidence transforms into post-facto validation. Nietzsche did not covet these charlatans, but he analyzed their influence. Unwavering certainty can overshadow reality, as people prefer a sense of belonging over precise truth. This principle can be leveraged ethically or aggressively. The architecture remains unchanged. Assert outcomes as preordained when introducing concepts. We have secured the contract instead of we aim to. This strategy is dominant, not this might work. Frame plans in retrospective tense as though history merely awaits official notation. The effect is invigorating. Morale lifts, critics soften their counter-arguments, and bystanders begin to support your perspective as they perceive better chances supporting inevitability than resisting it. Be mindful, the illusion dissipates the moment you ask permission or over-justify. Confidence must appear innate, not bargained. Wield it like a sword, shining, effortless, ever ready, and you'll discern something uncanny. Even when facts falter, tongues defend you, and circumstances reshape to corroborate you. The mirage crafted at dawn solidifies into reality by dusk. This is hypnotic self-assurance, a phantom force that labors on your behalf while you slumber. Confidence transcends a stagnant disguise. It is an engine of reflection, manufacturing reality from sheer conviction. Nietzsche described this as Selbstüberwindung, self-transcendence through continuous projection. First comes the belief. Declare, both internally and externally, that you are the crucial component in every scenario. Next is the deed. Assuming success eradicates hesitation. Reach out to the unreachable client, volunteer for the daunting task, lead discussions amid veterans. These actions, audacious because they sidestep doubt, initiate proof. Outcomes, sometimes modest, sometimes monumental, emerge. But here's the turning point. Even minor victories seem like predestined fulfillment when adorned in preceding boldness. Onlookers reconstruct a narrative. Indeed, he secured the deal. It was foretold. This proof then loops back, solidifying the initial faith. Each revolution strengthens reputation, expands the risk appetite, and magnetizes allies desiring a stake in your visible momentum. Momentum amplifies opportunity. Suddenly, platforms previously guarded by gatekeepers who now solicit your involvement become accessible, as nothing draws status like the aura of ascendancy. Soon, strangers cite you as a precedent. Adversaries mimic your rhythm, and the persona you crafted outshines any original inner whispers claiming, "I am the best." Illusion has calcified into reality. Be aware, the spiral spins in both directions. If initial assumptions are timid, "I may lack qualifications," then inaction supplants action, a void replaces proof, and the world verifies your self-doubt by neglecting you. Nietzsche's stark observation rests on neutrality. The cosmos is indifferent to the prophecy you initiate. It simply amplifies the one you declare, nourishing it until it crowns or consumes you. Opt for ascent, or find yourself drawn into descent. Either way, belief scripts your myth. Your fable is only as robust as its weakest glimpse. Nietzsche advised his followers to construct aerial castles, but inhabit the basement, unseen, meaning revealed just enough to inspire amazement, conceal anything that dilutes its power. The modern naive considers transparency virtuous. The strategist recognizes it as self-sabotage. You must curate your exhibition as if it were an art museum, spotlighting masterpieces with unfinished sketches reserved for the storeroom. First, enhance defining attributes. If decisiveness is your weapon, let every exchange exemplify prompt choice. Food menus closed in seconds, emails concise, meeting plans reduced to essential points. Repetition creates association. People cannot consider your name without sensing that definitive edge. Second, eliminate indications of indecision. Do not deliberate dilemmas in public spaces. Introspect privately, then return with resolved opinions. Remove filler expressions, I suppose maybe, from discourse. Avoid self-deprecating humor. It invites ridicule towards the myth's foundation. If doubt must arise, confine it to a trusted group who refine your strategy, avoiding open arenas where adversaries might capitalize on it. Third, manage the flow of information vigilantly. Oversharing is the domain of the powerless. They trade personal insights for empathy. You, however, offer scarce information to heighten demand. Provide headlines, not diaries. A single striking anecdote can suggest volumes. I run at dawn. Strategy is clearer after a sunrise run. Then shift. Curiosity should pursue you ravenously. Offer crumbs, never a feast. Fourth, leverage enigmatic spaces. Create gaps large enough for imaginations to inflate. A weekend unplugged from social media, a project under wraps, a book on your desk with an obscure title. Ambiguity coerces others to project ambitions greater than anything you might declare. Finally, rigorously maintain appearances, photos, posture, digital presence. Scrutinize anything that undermines the narrative. The night you slouched at a bar, never documented. An anxious Twitter thread, erased. Your myth must travel with minimal baggage. Only visuals that consolidate supremacy. Only words that deepen resonance. Only displays that provoke the question, how extensive is his influence? Remember, the masses skim rather than ponder deeply. Each additional detail is a vote for grandeur or mediocrity. Offer only the votes that cast you victorious in perception's contest. Hesitation acts as an unseen tax that impoverishes would-be rulers. Nietzsche regarded it not as an innocuous pause, but as a leaking vessel. Every deferred decision bleeds the will to power into oblivion. Creatures either advance or become prey. Only the over-refined human invents purgatory, that polite limbo where aspiration turns to regret. Observe any boardroom or tavern. The reticent genius waiting for the right moment finds themselves encircled by bold mediocrities who act first, refine later, and reap benefits, while the meticulous analyst finishes evaluating risks. Delay steals momentum, sows doubt, and broadcasts insecurity so loudly that opportunities shut themselves away to evade the din. To incapacitate hesitation, one cannot negotiate with it, one must ambush it. The instant a decision emerges, speak, stride, send, step up, you silently count to 5 and move before internal voices can raise objections. Each morning commences with a deliberate discomfort, a plunge into frigid waters, an uncensored pitch email, a sudden price increase, ensuring by dawn's end, your nervous system is reminded who commands it. When chance arises midday, you respond in a single breath, done. Complexity is managed post-commitment, never prior. Embrace the military dictum that 70% certainty is the action point. Waiting for 90 equates to awaiting defeat, as momentum converts the missing 30% into real-time intelligence. Harness social gravity in tandem. Publicly commit to an audacious deadline, engraving it into collective memory so that the dread of public embarrassment solidifies your timeline. Swiftly executed actions become addictive. Each prompt maneuver delivers a burst of gratification that rewires the mind to equate speed with survival. Within weeks, your default inquiry transforms from "should I" to "why not now?" and the world orbits around your completed exploits, while the hesitants still labor over drafts. Allow hesitation to persist, and you will see lesser men repeating your ideas because you shared them in dialogue but never documented them. Promotions will pass you by as your proposal awaited one final revision. You will become adept at potential unfulfilled. Nietzsche's judgment on such existences was unsparing. They neither transgress nor genuinely live. Regard every flicker of indecision as live ordnance, 5 seconds to propel it forward or risk mediocrity's explosion. Once decisiveness becomes instinctual, time itself aligns with your tempo, and hesitation remains a mere whisper perpetuated by the faint-hearted. Nietzsche's rigorous psychological exploration centers around one steadfast axiom: the world defers to certainty and consumes hesitation. Now you've outlined the path, from self-determination to requested approval, through myth-making preceding accolades, embodied certainty in stance and eye, hypnotic confidence that sways multitudes, belief-action proof sculpted into a self-reinforcing cycle. In the spiraling dance of relentless refinement and the ultimate dismissal of hesitation, each layer sculpts the same edifice. Conduct yourself as though you are unparalleled, and the cosmos hastens to corroborate. Grasp the significance when you step beyond this screen. Every corridor, video call, or outdoor cafe becomes your arena of testing. Hold those shoulders lifted as though gravity serves you. Let your voice be devoid of qualifiers, and your gaze linger just beyond the bounds of convenience. Accept opportunities before uncertainty finds its foothold. Your words become decrees, not musings. You initiate movement, allowing others to interpret your trajectory. People will realign, first in astonishment, then in respect, eventually in fervent support, since humanity is drawn irresistibly to the allure of unwavering conviction. Safeguard the myth you disseminate. Showcase your decisive attributes, conceal your inner doubts, and let intrigue accomplish what words cannot. Practice supremacy until instinct replaces performance. If a voice questions, "What right have I to this claim?" respond with Nietzsche's own declaration: "Those who dare, command. Power is not distributed by count but claimed through assertion, lived until opposition withers." The pivotal question arises with each new threshold. Will you drift through seeking evaluation, or will you stride in, assuming control? History lauds the latter. Decide, advance, and let your certainty inscribe your name where the hesitant leave vacancies.